Hey, this is Ryan of Ryan from GDSE.com. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to do a simple sky replacement or combine two photos, two exposures really in this case. I'm using the same exposures that I put up on my website. If you want to follow along, you can get both of these images. It's the same photo. I just then used Camera Raw to open it in one exposure for the foreground, open it in another exposure for the sky. So to get started, a lot of videos don't show this, so I want to try and at least explain the thinking behind what I'm doing. So when I look at this image, I see there is a lot of blue in the sky and almost no blue in the foreground, and I'm in the RGB space, so blue is separated from red and green. So I think that the blue channel will be a really good starting point. In this one, I could probably use as well, except I would look at doing it maybe with a blend if using white, which would probably work too. There's a lot of white up here and not a lot of white down here. But when I look particularly at this tree over on the side, which is the most detailed part, it doesn't look as good as the tree in this exposure. So I'd rather see how the blue channel in this one looks. So I'm going to go into my channels, and as I expected, the blue has the best contrast between the sky and the foreground. So that's what I'll work with. I'm going to duplicate the channel, then I'm just going to hit L to go to lasso, and I'm going to quickly just kind of go around the bottom area, and then I'll fill that with black. And then I'll do the same thing to the top, but filling it with white. So fill this with black, then do the same thing, but I'll, like I said, fill this with white. And this is just a very quick way of doing things, but works really well. All right, with that done, we can now focus on the challenging area. And again, there's a lot of different ways to do this. A lot of times you'll start with levels. I didn't find it necessary for this picture, although you probably get better results. The longer you spend on it, the better results you'll get. But I'm just going to go to Image, Apply Image, and you'll usually be doing this with Overlay, Soft Light, Hard Light, Vivid Light, or sometimes Multiply. It also kind of depends on if you're trying to get rid of something to make it lighter or darker, but generally you'll be using one of these. And in this case, Vivid Light worked really well. Now, I did need to look for where does most of the gray go away. So here you can see there's some gray. If I go too high, then I lose some of the detail in the tree. So I found that right around 50 gets a very good result. So that's all we had to do, and we've got a perfect mask now. Now I'm going to go to my original, the one that has the foreground exposed. Just copy it, and I will paste it into this document. In the channel, I'm going to hold Command and click on the thumbnail so that it gives me a marquee. And then on the layer panel, I will go to Add Layer Mask. Right now, it is actually the inverse of what we need. So make sure we have the mask selected and hit Command-I, and there you have it. Now, this is as far as I went in the written tutorial, but I'll show you, I mentioned in the written tutorial I did some additional cleanup work, so I'll show you a little bit of that now. What I like to do is use the Burn tool. I'll set it to highlight with an exposure of 12. And just so I can show you how it's working, I'm going to duplicate and turn off one so that I can flip between them and show you what the Burn tool is doing. If I hit Alt and click into my mask, I can just very quickly now go through and burn these edges. And that's really all I'm doing. Now, I don't want to be doing it on this black and white view. So I'm going to click Alt to go back to where I can see the image, but I'm still on the mask. I'm doing the same thing. So all I'm doing right now is using the burn tool on the mask. Okay, and pretty much the more time you spend, the better off it'll be. But I want to do this anywhere where the edges look a little rough, a little choppy, like there's some color fragmentation going on. Now, when you're masking something really detailed like hair, which I'll do in another tutorial, this is going to be a very helpful tool to use. And I won't do any more than that, but to show you what that did, let's come over here, and if you look at that tree, right, we can see it, hopefully, versus this one, and you can see the difference. You can see how much better it looks after doing just a little bit of dodging and burning, which really all I did was burning, although sometimes you might have to dodge as well. So there you have it. We've replaced the sky using a second exposure of the image so that we could have a well-exposed foreground and sky. Especially, I live in Florida. It's very bright. This is a common problem. And hopefully you learned how to do a little bit more work with the channels and the masks. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to leave me questions, comments, and subscribe.